these coaches are not playing. These coaches are not tiptoeing through the tulips. They are letting you have it. And if anything, you can grow. Hey, y'all, it's your girl, Jane B. seejanereacts. Thank you so much for tuning in. I totally appreciate you. Listen, y'all already know we're going over Married at First Sight, Season 20, Seattle. But before we even get started, just go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Check out the description where you'll see some products that I have there that I've created for hair and some other things that I have going on. So go ahead and do that. And let's get ready to review this episode. Mecca and Belle is digging out dog poop. Okay. Well, no, not dog poop, but they digging out human poop at the dog park. Okay. She is all excited. It seems to me that she really wanted to be there. I've heard just snippets. I haven't really watched anyone's review, but like, people are presuming that, like, you know, he's making her do this. And I didn't get that at all. Because one thing about your girl, I'm going to be fair. If I see something messy and a little sticky, I'm going to say it regardless of who did it. But what I see is that Belle rather wanted to go. She probably was like, well, I want to see what you do. Because Belle is that girl. We know that she is super supportive and she loves herself some Mecca. Okay? So she's like, you digging poop? I'm going to go with you to dig some poop. So listen. They get to the dog park and they open that porta potty, and I can only imagine, because I've been to places where they've had porta potties and they smell disgusting. They smell so nasty. So I can only imagine. And I was like, where's the mask? Ain't no mask on the faces. Where is the mask? We need the mask to cover from the funk getting in our nostrils. Anyway, so they go in and she was like, I am not taking out no poop. And next thing you know, of course, they cut, she taking out the poop. But basically, you just vacuum out the poop. But then after you vacuum out, then you got to clean it. But that was Mecca's job. He said, I'm going to need you to do this in the apartment too, because apparently you don't keep the bathroom clean. So he said, I'm going to need you to do this. And she was getting turned on because he was bending over, you know, whatever. And they had already had sex. So, you know, she was just saying, you look real cute. You look real cute in your outfit. I'm just saying, your workwear. Because she said he's so put together all the time. So she really was enjoying the fact that now he is serious. He's doing his job. And that's that. So then they go to the office where they visit his grandmother. That's his father's mother. And she was all excited. She's like, hey, yeah. She was all excited to see them. And she's like, look like y'all get along great. And she said they did. And she said, now, one day, you know, we may leave this to Mecca, because she let us know that they are the only, and I guess did she say the only? Or I think she said the only Black-owned porta potty cleaners in the Pacific Northwest. So that's definitely something to be proud of. And he was like, well, I'm just glad they gave me a job. Okay. So, you know, she said, well, one day this will be given to Mecca and you would be me. You would be my job, hopefully, if she wants it. Okay. And she was like, absolutely. She is just very supportive. She is team Mecca all the way. And we'll get to it a little later. I just want him to be on the same page. And if not, honey, set her free, because she has a lot of love to give. And even with her own issues of being abandoned by her father, she is still willing, ready, and able to give Mecca all the love he needs. Okay. So then we go over to Adam and Marissa, and we know that everything about them is surface, because now that I've gotten to know them a little more, because at the beginning I was kind of like, oh, that's cool, they're cute, but now I'm starting to understand and I'm starting to see that they're not talking about nothing. And at the end of the day, he's putting on this thrifted shirt, and you can tell that low-key Marissa's getting worn out, because she's kind of like, oh, okay, so, you know, what are you going to talk about? Do you think you'll talk a little more? And he was like saying, you know, I do plan to get deep, and, I may say something. And she was like, I give you permission, because she want to hear something, because she hasn't been hearing anything. And he did let her know that when he was in therapy, every time he had a therapy session, he broke up with his girlfriend. And she said, oh, God, is that going to be me? But anyway, so she's ready now to get the ball rolling, because even though she, you know, they're having sex, now they done did all the things, they having sex, they doing all the things, but now we need to get a little deeper. And unfortunately, they put the cart before the horse. They didn't even get to know each other before they just jumped in, because I think they jumped in the first night. Okay. And so he has the shirt on, he leaves the tag on, and honey, these coaches, they're about to let him have it. So now the group session is happening. So now all the couples are coming in. So they're at the session, and Dr. Paul already let them know, I see a lot of everything going on. I see denial, I see fronting, I see everything, because they was looking very romantic. Everybody was just looking all coupled up. They came in hand, they laying on each other as they sit. And to the naked eye, to the uncounselor like me, I'm like, okay, they looking good, but we all know that there's something bubbling under the surface, okay? So they all come in, and now they're starting to do their session. So they start with Marissa and Adam. And already it's like, Adam, what do you have on? Because Adam comes in with his shirt open, exposing his V. What are you doing? So then as soon as he gets in, he buttons it up, because Paul just got that look on his face where you almost can't read his face, but you can read his face. And the face was like, what are you wearing? What are you doing? So anyway, he buttons up the shirt, and they started with them. And they said, we just want to start right here with you. What is going on? Who is this person? And then he let them know, no, this is who I've always been. This is who this is who I was. I think I was just buttoned up at the beginning, but this is who I really am. And they basically, let him know, like, everything's a joke. And that's just your way of deflecting and not, having deep conversations. And then they asked Marissa, now, have you guys had deep conversations? Marissa said, no, not really. So then Dr. Lisa was like, well, have you talked to him about your father? Because she said, I think I know more about your father than Adam. So she said pretty much no. So she started talking about her father. She started talking about the things in their lives that, it caused her to be who she is, and the issues and the narcissism and all the things, they had going on. And then Adam came back with a joke. And then Dr. Paul just read him. He said, see, this is the thing. That's always your go-to. Your go-to is always a joke, as opposed to just being supportive and just listening. Because I know for me, if I'm having a serious conversation with my person and it's something gut-wrenching and anxiety-driven, and you start making a joke, we're going to have a problem. We are going to have a problem, and I'm going to let you have it, because what are you doing? What is the issue that you can't listen to me right now in my time of need? Adam did talk about some of his traumas. Marissa also talks about her father's, mental health issues. And then Adam reveals that he has been cheated on. And as a result of that trauma, he carries a lot of emotional baggage. At the end of the day, Marissa do want to get more deep with Adam. So let's see, because this is how I feel. When you are a grown man, Adam is like 31, 32. I think he's 31. He's 31 years old. He's been doing this for a long time, right? So again, I go back to the counseling that's really needed, because you've been doing this long. That going to a joke is your go-to. So that right there is going to be an uphill battle. So those are the things they have to work on. So now Cameron and Michelle, they basically said they have great conversations. They really, love where they are. And that's a good thing. And then, Marissa, chimes in her, ITM, and she was just like, boy, I wish Adam was a little more like Cameron, because she likes his level of maturity. So then Michelle lets them know that they did have a discussion about finances. And when they did, Cameron talks about how it made him feel initially. And he said that he really is for his wife, doing her thing and making money. He doesn't really have a huge problem with that. But he did, I know in the previous episode, he talks about feeling emasculated, but then once they talked it out and it was a hard conversation, they felt, better about it. So as a result of that, they were able to get through that conversation. And Dr. Paul said something that I love. He said, the harder the conversation, the closer the connection. I love that, because that is true, because the more honest and real you are, the more vulnerable you become and the closer you can become. So I love that advice that he gave them. Michelle says she realizes it's not about the amount of money, but it's the hard work and the dedication that he puts in. He's actually doing something that is passion for him. He loves basketball. So hopefully within that situation, he'll grow. And I do believe that now that he has a wife that loves him and supports him, he'll probably be like, if he really wants to be there, he really wants to make it grow, he'll be like, you know what do I need to do to even elevate myself from where I am? And I think that's a great thing. Nick and Courtney. So Courtney says she feels safe with Nick, but she's just really afraid of intimacy. And Dr. Lisa asked Courtney, she said, do you even know how to deal with and how to handle someone who's really into you? And then Courtney lets her know, they haven't gotten more deep. They haven't gotten more vulnerable. And that's why she doesn't feel safe with him. And then they turned to Nick because they were saying, okay, we hear Courtney, we always hear her side. But Dr. Lisa was like, now, Nick, you always come here polished. You always come in here like I've been on 7 reality shows, okay? You always come in here knowing, okay, they not gonna edit me the wrong way, so I know just how to keep it. And they were like, okay, we need you to talk about you. What are you afraid of? And he's like, oh, I can't even think. And Dr. Lisa said, I call BS. I call BS on that too, because we all have something, but you can tell Nick is really protecting who he is. He's protecting that image. He wants you to say, no, 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 no. 5 months from now, you will not be bringing up what I said. Okay. So with that being said, you better open your mouth, Nick, or you're going to have problems because these coaches here, they not playing with you. Nick said he's afraid of being awkward and goofy because he may be judged. Courtney said, but I still want more. Okay. And it was funny because as the judges was talking, Courtney was like, come on, you can say it. Get it out. You can do it. Let me have it. Come on. That was funny. She was like prodding him along with the coaches. Okay. Felipe and Tori. So, Felipe lets everybody know that everything is going good, but he is so afraid of sabotaging the relationship. And that really scares Tori. She was like, oh God, what's he about to do to me? Paul tells Felipe that he thrives in uncertainty. It's almost like those people who just like a little chaos at all times. And then he tells Felipe, instead of being scared, just be curious. Like, don't worry about things fading out because those butterflies are not always going to be there. But just get more curious, ask more questions, maybe do more things, find out things that you guys like, find out ways to keep that passion going. But see, you have to have that in you. You have to want to explore. This is the thing. If you really want that relationship to work and if you really want to grow, that's what you're going to have to do. But are you going to fall back on old habits? Because that's what I'm feeling like with a lot of these couples. Like, if it's not naturally in you to be a certain way, unless you get some serious counseling, you will fall back on old habits. So hopefully he will become curious so their relationship can not just be contingent on the feeling or the passion, but actual connection. Becca, Lisa asked them, did you do your homework? And remember, the homework with Becca was to make out, kiss more, be more affectionate that way. And he said, no, we did not do the homework. And then Dr. Lisa said, well, did you replace it with something? He was like, yes, we went all the way. Okay, we had sex. Dr. Paul feels like Mecca has never truly chosen Belle, but Belle chooses him every day. And you could just see it. Like, words of affirmation is definitely her love language. And she has no problem telling him how she feels all the time. But Dr. Paul said, but you're not choosing her back. What's up? Dr. Lisa asked him if he's deserving of love. Does he even feel like he's deserving of love? And he said he knows that he sabotages himself. And she also let him know, I'm sure you haven't felt safe with your mom and your stepmom. See, I like how they call out things. They don't leave the thing uncovered. They said your mama ain't there and your stepmama ain't there. It's just the thought of having to trust the woman, because I truly feel like he likes her. I do. Like it or not, I said it. I really believe that he likes her, but all those other issues have gotten in his way, and it's going to get in his way until he realizes and recognizes, okay? Because I'm going to tell you something right now. See, Belle Jolie, she putting up with the porta potties. She's constantly giving you, praise and adoration. If she walks out the door and you get with somebody who's not doing anything, even though that may feel comfortable for you, you're going to regret. You're going to be like, Belle, where you at? Because Belle, she going to soup it up and amp it up at all times. We know she don't play. She don't play about him, and she going to let you know exactly how she feels about her man. So then Michelle chimes in, and they were like, I feel like what you're giving right now, Mecca, is real. Because at dinner, it felt very performative, because 1 minute you feel like this, 1 minute you feel like that. And then at one point, I was like, well, man, everybody's jumping in. It seemed like everybody was just taking turns, just knocking him down, just saying, what they felt and things like that. And then Devin was like, listen, man, I get it. I know that feeling of uncertainty. I know how you feeling. And I like that Devin did that. Like, okay, I know everybody dogpiling a little bit, but let me let you know, I know where you are right now. I know exactly where you are. Mecca said he knows he has a mental barrier he knows he needs to overcome. He knows that. And honey, Belle said, well, I'm all in. Okay. So Nikki and Sean said that there has been a shift in the atmosphere. They came in together. They came in walking arm in arm. And they said that they took the advice of Dr. Paul. And even though they started out a mess, like everyone else started out good and they maybe turned it into a mess, he said we was a mess starting. And so we did, we took all the steps and we did the things that we need to do. And now we're on the rise. And I think Cameron was like, no, wait a minute. Y'all was about to fight and quit the other day. Did I miss 10 steps? Is there something I missed? And I was kind of like down with that too, because I was like, it's not like he's lying. Because it was like, because I don't know the time frame between the dinner and the group session. But it's like, now what happened that you were able to turn it around so quickly? And to be honest, I don't know if I trust it 100%, because just because of the way these two are, and I do feel like Sean is going to give you he's going to say exactly what he needs to say. He's going to do exactly what he needs to do. And it's like, but are you really changed? Because I think a few of them was like, I don't know if I trust it. Y'all trust it? I don't know if I trust it. They saying, some of them are like, ooh, this feels contrived and it doesn't really feel real. So we'll see. Only time can tell. Devin and Kat. They said that Devin's light has been dimmed. It looked like he just went from a bright, shining star, rugby star, to now he looks like, oh God, who am I? They let him know he is very committed to the situation, but don't lose yourself. They said he needs to be who he is, because they said love doesn't diminish. Amen to that. If you are in love and your person's in love with you, they want more of who you are, right? They said that one other time. They don't want less of who you are. They want you to be who you are. If you're fun, they want you to be fun. They said you should never have to shrink yourself for your partner. And I agree 100%. So, Kat lets them know that it may not work because of my needs and his needs are different. But, Devin said he is willing to work on it, and so is she. So at the end of the session, they did something that I really liked. They were like, if decision day was today, if today was D-Day, what are we doing? Oh, I love that. D-Day, decision day, D-Day. If today was D-Day, what are we doing? And so they go around the room, and I'm going to tell you what they said. Kat and Devin said they are undecided. Nikki and Sean, undecided. Cameron and Michelle, yes. Tori and Felipe, yes. Becca, they both said they would be undecided. Courtney and Nick, undecided. And Adam and Marissa, undecided. Okay, so that is the way they ended the session. So at the end of the session, everyone just gives a recap, a quick little recap. Marissa and Adam said they liked the openness. Dev and Caitlin left, and they were like, Caitlin was like, I need a massage. She was like, I can massage you. And she said, no, I need a professional masseuse. And he said, yeah, I could do that. And she said, I need a massage from someone who doesn't like me. Yikes. Nick and Courtney. Nick said, it is wild that some people are willing to say yes. He said he is not even at that point yet. So Becca, afterwards, they were talking, and pretty much Mecca said he was really hurt that Michelle told him that he was being performative. Becca let him know, the nitpicking is starting to bother me. Because like I said, it felt like they were just dogpiling on them a little bit. I guess it's just being honest, to be honest. It is a therapy session, but I just felt like they didn't show that being done with anyone else. Not that they didn't do it to anybody else, but they just didn't show it. So they really feel like they're just like, oh, look at them. Y'all did this. You did this. He said, I didn't like it. It's starting to bother me. And Belle tells him, babe, just be yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be you and him. If you guys decide to stay together, it's going to be you and him. You're not having group sessions for the rest of your life. But if you guys know what you're willing to work on, and if you're willing to work on it, then that's all that matters. And then Michelle and Cameron, they just talked about their living situations, how they plan on moving in the future. And they think overall the therapy session went well. So y'all, that was the end of the episode. It was a pretty good one. I did like the group therapy session. And if you've made it this far, make sure you leave an orange heart in the comment section. Thank you so much for being here. I totally appreciate you sticking around and hanging out as we go over this show, okay? And until the next time, peace.